Do you reckon you could get invited to the Ryder Cup?
Technically,
You can.
technically, as a wild card pick,
You could get picked.
a captain on either team could pick literally whoever they wanted to.
Is there really no... Like,
Yeah,
is
what are
it
the
that as
rules?
that broad? You can just...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
As soon as you get to the wild card picks, that's literally anybody.
Yeah.
Because Tom Holland, we're back to Wentworth. Tom Holland on the 18th at Wentworth tried to hit driver off the deck onto the green in front of Podrick Harrington, and Harrington said, if you get the ball on the green, I'll take you to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah. No,
So technically you can be Spider-Man and go to the Ryder Cup.
When I played with Luke Donald, he said he'd think about putting me in the team as well. And
Yeah.
guess what? Didn't get the
happen.
call, did I? Hey, Luke.
Yeah. Well, this time around, we've got to go to the US. We've got to beat them at one of the hardest golf courses in their entire country. They might need you.
It won't be hard.
No,
No.
easy win.
It's one thing I'm concerned about. Two things, slightly off topic, about the Ryder Cup. Bethpage is notoriously one of the hardest courses in the world, but the US team always make the course as easy as possible and cut the rough as short as possible, so their bigger hitters, their bigger players can just bomb it everywhere and just like gouge onto the green. Like they've done this consistently within the last few years, and the European team have done the opposite. They made the course really tight, thickened up the rough. It's kind of a thing. So I kind of feel that they're going to take Bethpage and rip its teeth out a little bit, but then also, like with the crowds, I'm a little bit worried about it might go a bit too
OTT,
far.
yeah.
But do we not have long? We got long people. We got Rory. We
do.
or do not have Rahm, depending on.
We do. It's, Yeah.
What they're starting to do now is, from a stat standpoint, they can look back at previous years, and realistically, most often the home team will win, and more often than not, the home team in the US standpoint will make the course long and short, long in distance but short in rough.
Right. Okay.
And Europeans will make it shortish in distance but very tight and very penal if you're offline.
Yeah. I don't know why my brain went to Ryder Cup. Probably because of the Solheim Cup has just happened.
There we go.
Now the Americans. Spoilers if you didn't watch it this weekend, the American team did win. There was an inkling of hope going into the kind of afternoon-ish of Sunday, but they were so good. They were so much longer and closer to, like, they were just better than us.
Yeah, I think from the very first day there was leading 6-2 after the first day is a real kind of sign of intent.
Yeah.
It's a long way back from that. And Europe never really kind of gained the impetus. It was 10-6 going into that final day of singles. And it was just, I don't know, it just never seemed likely until literally the last 5 matches were either tied or Europe were up.
Yeah.
But Europe need to win every single one of them. And it's just not going to happen at that point. If it would have happened, it would have been the greatest Solheim comeback in literal history.
Yeah.
It would have been unbelievable. But like you said, the American team was just too good.
There's always, I always feel like in every Ryder Cup and every Solheim, there is an hour and a half, maybe 2, where it does seem to look like the tide is turning a little bit, or it might happen, and the improbable is gonna come to fruition. But I genuinely felt like at a point, like it did really feel pretty good. Like it was looking solid. All the players that were coming in those final 5 groups were either up or playing really, really good golf. We turned over some matches that we had to. Celine had knocked over Lexi when she was 3 up. But then, the Americans did a similar thing. Laura Coughlin, who was unbelievable in her rookie Solheim, I think she didn't lose for the whole week, turned it over on who she was playing. It was Maya Stark. It was, just unbelievable to watch, really. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. The first day was a little bit of a kind of mute point because they had the real problems with the travel and getting the fans in.
Yeah, the first tee
was very weird.
Talking about the crowd being like, the extra player on the team. It didn't feel like there was anyone at the first tee.
Well, I remember us turning it on, and Sarah Sturck said like, half an hour till the tee times, and the seats are filling up. And I sort of made it like in jest. I say like, if it was the Ryder Cup, they would have been filled up 3 hours ago, and they would have been filled up in the Solheim Cup. It's just that no one was there because they didn't have any transport. It was very bizarre.
Apparently, apparently people were paying, I think they paid $30 for like advanced parking. Pulled up, started to wait in the queues to get in early so they could be on the first tee so they could fill the course up. And no coaches arrived.
And nobody was there
to actually transport them. So people just stuck there for hours. Apparently not much access to toilet facilities or anything like that. So it was all a bit of a nightmare apparently. I think with things like that, the setting the tone early with the crowd and getting them in and getting them engaged is very, very important. And I was lucky to go to the Ryder Cup last year, and that was my first experience of a Ryder Cup. It was incredible. Like that first tee shot when it's rammed, everyone's kind of like slightly dazed and confused because it's so early, but everyone's massively up for it. It's fantastic.
You know, you're talking about like setting up the course to favour the players in your team or the home team. Maybe the transport debacle was a play by the US team to not have any travelling fans on the first tee for the first day, because it worked. They won 6-2 on the first session.
I mean, potentially, but you could flip it to say that
I'm always conspiracy theories always.
That was the tamest like the crowd was the whole week. So from a European standpoint, like I would have taken that as like they needed to take advantage of that because it wasn't so intense. Or I mean, the Solheim Cup crowd, the even the commentators and the pundits were saying like it isn't as feisty and it isn't as, but in a good way, because it's just kind of a little bit more, welcoming of all the golfers. And you still do get that in the Ryder Cup, but there is going to be talking points about, especially this New York crowd going into the Ryder Cup next year. But I think to me that first day, and even at least that first session where the crowds were down and they had an opportunity to kind of just play golf and not worry necessarily about the crowds getting on top of them, that was the time to like strike. And then again on the second day, they both sessions were 2-all. They didn't win a session. They didn't really come through. It was only till, like you say, with the singles that they started to kind of make a bit of a move. But there you go. It was to win for 4 in a row, and no one's ever done it before. And there's a reason, because it's quite hard. Yeah,
the final day resurgence led by the one and only, the legend that is Charley Hull.
Yeah, she's carving out a reputation. Let's put it that way. I think some people are on board with it. Others might not be too keen. But, I mean, I know Charley a little bit. We have filmed with her. I've met her a few times. And she is... What's the best way? She's very much her own person, is the best way of describing it, which in most cases is brilliant, especially for a golfer as well. Like, it's what you want. You want these individuals within the game. I think... like a lot of it has been made about the fact that she's just like she's smoking on the course.
Yeah.
Like almost like too much. Like it's the most incredible thing that's ever happened in golf.
I mean, what she's doing has been
ripping darts.
What she's doing has been done by golfers of, the highest standard for hundreds of years.
It's just not the modern thing, is it?
It's only because it's
the
only
athlete one.
Yeah, it's only because like we now are used to seeing highly honed Ronaldo type athletes who, and she obviously is very good and she practices hard and she works out in the gym. She does all the stuff she has to do, but maybe that's how she relaxes and gets herself ready to compete. It seemed to work. She beat the world number 1 in singles.
Battered her.
Yeah.
So listen. Golf, what you're saying is exactly correct. Golf needs characters, and she is a character, which she backs up by being incredible at golf.
That shot she hit to close out her match on the par 5 was unreal. And what was really good about it is you could see kind of exactly what she was doing, like hitting a pull draw into that bank and then bringing it round was unreal.
And Corder was just like, fine. Okay,
yeah, fine.
You can have it.
I accept it. Whatever you want to do. Was it the 14th, that par 5? Because it was the 14th that, like...
we didn't like that hole.
The American team, I think, almost won every single point on that hole, apart from maybe 2 or 3, in the entire Solheim Cup. Which is absolutely wild. Which is... I find it really strange that one hole could be so one-sided. Yeah. Especially par 5. Like,
is it the one where the second shot's over water to the kind of islandish green.
Yeah, it was a strange one.
Well, that it was on that hole, which I think I kind of had the like, okay, America have won this moment before we'd even got to the singles, when Alison Corpus basically topped it and hit it to about 30 foot or whatever it was, and then Nelly rolled it in for eagle, and I just thought, okay, well,
that was a bit stinky.
There we go. that was
a stinky one. That one was frustrating if you're playing that. That was the most
in
frustrating
match playing, you know, most situations, like you've always got to expect your player, whoever you're playing against, is going to hold the putt, hit a great shot, do whatever. But at the same time, you watch that and you see it cold top bounce about 100 yards further down the fairway, and somehow this ball skips past the bunker, doesn't catch the rough, then hits the bank, then hits the rough that kicks it back into the green and finishes 30 feet away.
Listen, they are professional athletes. She had practiced that for
I'm
weeks.
sure. Kept it low.
She knew exactly what she was doing. She was like, "Oh, I'm going to bring out that cold top that everyone's been seeing me do it on the range. Here we go."
Highly skilled.
Yeah.
Very, very happy for her. I think someone who wasn't happy, Leona Maguire. Did you see some of the stuff she was posting?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So she sat out. I think she played twice, didn't she? She had one match on the Saturday, I think, which she lost, and then obviously in the singles, which she won. But going into this Solheim Cup, she wasn't playing that great.
Yeah.
And I think Suzanne Petterson, captain, just decided that she wasn't, going to be the best chance of getting some points, and left her out. But I don't think Leona was particularly happy about that, which is fine. Like if you've turned up to the Solheim Cup, if you've turned up to Ryder Cup, President's Cup, whatever it's going to be, which is obviously coming up quite soon as well. It's kind of like there's no guarantee that you're going to play, but of course you want to.
Yeah.
Like you want to be out there as much as possible, but someone's got to miss out.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that only the top of the top players play in every session. And even then, some of those guys or girls get rested to save them for singles. So you'd expect, you'd hope to play as many as you can and to provide points for the team. But you kind of have to expect that you're going to get rested, or you're going to have to sit out, particularly if you come into the tournament not playing your best golf and other people are playing really, really well. Yeah, I can understand her frustration, but it's almost one of the only times where it's a team event, and you should be thinking whatever's best for the team is best for the team, and if that means me sitting out, then that's fine.
Yeah, it must be tough, because she clearly is someone that rises to the occasion of a Solheim Cup. She proved that in her first year of playing in it, which I suppose is where the kind of backlash came from, is how good she was the last time she played.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like she hadn't built up the rep, because she hadn't played in as many as maybe to be able to build up that reputation of just being like that Poulter who it doesn't matter how he's playing, you just put him in and he's always going to rise to the occasion. And maybe now going forward, obviously I imagine she's going to play in many more Solheim Cups to come if she continues being the player that she can be. It's hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And you always look back at it and you always think, okay, well, maybe if she'd played in this, would it have changed things? I think one of the other surprises for me was, well, a couple of people. Emily Pedersen playing in all 5 matches was interesting. I thought I'd made a comment in the previous podcast. I did say that she was one of those people that I felt did just rise to Solheim Cups, and didn't necessarily need to come in with particular form, but it felt like that there was an opportunity to maybe pull her out of, especially in that Saturday afternoon. I think she probably didn't need to play. I don't think, and I mean, even into the singles, she really struggled. And then Lynn Grant as well.
Oh my God.
Like someone who
kind of stung the place out.
Oh.
Yeah, someone who we would have felt for the European side, you can really sort of just hang your hat on and be like, you'll just go win us like 2 or 3 points.
Guaranteed 2 or 3 points for the weekend. Thanks so much. Yeah. You're a great contributor to the team. Nothing.
Didn't win anything.
Zil point.
Yeah, didn't win anything.
It's a shame.
And I mean, she was up in her singles match. She was the final match coming in. So it was kind of looking to a point where like maybe she was going to be the deciding factor. And then, I imagine it must be hard that when you're kind of putting all this effort in and work, and then as soon as that kind of final putt where you can't now win it anymore, and you've got to try and like revive some kind of energy to go and win it again. It must be tricky.
I mean, I think ultimately, like I said, it's very easy to second guess. Like after the event, Maguire should have played more. Great, yeah. Pedersen probably made some other mistakes, probably, but like it's so easy to talk about that stuff after the fact. Like whoever the captain is in whatever team is just going to make decisions they think are right. I think ultimately, like the US team just played better.
Yeah,
So
that's all it
that's
is.
like as far as unpacking things, like even when it was down, there were a few people down on that last day. They managed to come back. Like Vu, who actually kind of managed to come back and get that half, was unbelievable.
There was great golf. However, apart from that 14th, do you remember any of the rest of that golf course?
A couple of the first.
Wow. Yeah.
You saw that
You
hole
saw
a
that
lot.
hole a lot, but apart from one, what's the?
18 after the final day, because I didn't really feel like we even got to 18 that
Yeah.
much.
No, we didn't that much,
And,
did we?
I mean, ultimately, it was just like a shortish par 4. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't great.
Well,
And there was-
you sort of draw around the corner to take a lot of it off, and then you had a wedge in.
And there was a par 3, just maybe in the middle somewhere, which got a lot of action.
the fourth was a par 3.
Fourth was a par 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt like the course was a bit like. Eh.
I mean, ultimately, I think for a Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup, President's Cup, whatever it's going to be, very rarely do you go to a golf course which is like, wow, like a famous, unbelievable golf course. But it doesn't need to be a really good match play course. Like Marco Simone last year, it's fine. Like it's an absolutely fine course. It's good. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Le Golf National, like which
I think it's the
really
best example.
yeah, great. Like, cool, good course. Like, there's plenty of hazards, all the rest of it. But it's just a great match play course.
Yeah.
It's like Adair Manor. Like, Adair Manor is one of the most
Adair.
pristine, unbelievable golf courses
There
that
is.
you're ever going to
There
play.
is,
It's
yeah.
perfect. It's like a massive rolled out carpet. But I mean, for a stroke play competition, yeah, it's fine. From a
Yeah.
match play competition, it might be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm off memory. Obviously, 17 is the par 3 over water, or is that 16?
No, that's 16.
16, and then 17 is the
17 is a
long,
long par four,
and then you've got
then
the
par
par
five.
5, but then over
Yeah, yeah.
water for the. There's a couple of holes in there which would be interesting. It's funny because like the next two Ryder Cup venues, if you kind of flip them and said that Adair was the American venue and Bethpage was it's like
Yeah, they do feel like that, don't they?
I mean, with Bethpage, like if you think about like recent Ryder Cups, like Bethpage is probably one of the only major venues which has made
Yeah.
an appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, the American, I think Hazeltine, I think that was a few years ago, like kind of the American side tend to go to those more established courses while the Europeans tend to go to a few, not random exactly, but a few different types of venues. So yeah, it's just an interesting kind of venue choice. Ultimately, it comes down to who is going to slip a brown envelope across the table, I imagine.
Yeah, I was going to say these clubs must pay like a bid.
a bid.
Yeah,
to
bid
get chosen.
to get chosen for these tournaments. So
Yeah.
maybe Marco Simone did a great job. I thought the course was very good, and it looked great on TV, and it played really well, and it was good for drama.
Yep.
Eh,
You know where the next Solheim's going to be in Europe?
talk to me.
It's Netherlands.
In the Netherlands.
Oh,
yes.
really?
Yes.
That'd be good.
That'll be good, yeah.
By the way, that's somewhere which I think we need to go. Like the links courses in
the
Holland
Netherlands?
look unbelievable.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're off to the Netherlands, everyone.
So anyway,
And you heard it here first. Peter Finch playing in the European team at Adair Manor, thanks to whoever the captain is, handed over. Is Luke
Yeah.
Donald going to do 3?
I think JP gets his own pick, so you could be in.
Oh, get in there, my son.
maybe.